Welcome to another episode of the King's Couch. I'm your host, Sulo King, and today I have the pleasure via Zoom interviewing Jason Nichols, aka Jay Andrew of Cult Muzic, who's a local musician here in San Diego. And it's a pleasure to have you on the show, my friend. How are you?
To be here. I'm good. How are you?
I just finished up a long day of work and I had to rush down to the airport to pick up my sister and make it here right on time, and I barely did that. So it's
Well, we're here.
a pleasure to sit down and relax for a little bit and talk about what I love the most and what you love the most, music.
Yes,
So
definitely.
with that, let's go back to the beginning with you and talk about your early influences and where you grew up, and work our way up.
All right. I grew up mostly on 36th Street in, I guess, what they call City Heights. My parents were in different types of music, into different types of music. My dad was into classic rock and metal, and then my mom was more like the oldies, Chuck Berry and that kind of stuff. So I got a little bit of both sides of it. But growing up in that neighborhood, I was exposed to other types of music as well, like the middle school, introduced to hip hop, that kind of thing. My first, I guess, exposure to hip hop was when I found a Run DMC tape.
Okay. What year was that in? Do you remember?
80 something, had to have been.
Okay. How old are you, just for the record?
I'm 44.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so I'm 41, a couple years older.
We're getting up there.
Right, yeah.
But that was my first exposure to like just hearing it and like, wow, this isn't something I'm used to hearing, kind of thing. I remember when we lived in that neighborhood. Dropped you. My dad built a gazebo.
Accidents do happen.
Right. My dad built a gazebo in the backyard, and my mom's like, "Oh, you're on timeout. Something happened." I forget what it was, but she's like, "Go to the gazebo. I'm on timeout." So I ended up sitting out there for an hour just singing King of Rock over and over again, annoying the shit out of her.
Yeah, I love that track.
Yeah, classic stuff. But from there, I got into local music in the early 90s. I spent a lot of my time taking the bus in the summer. I didn't have a car. To Blue Meanie, looking at the local section, buying random split 45s from local bands just because they look cool. And that's kind of how I got into local music. I started picking up things, and I found bands like Tanner Fishwife, Heavy Vegetable, Boilermaker, Three Mile Pilot was one of my big.
A lot of local music. That's how I was when I was a teenager, primarily, up until I started working in the music biz. Definitely, man. I feel you on that.
Yeah. So heavy into local music through the 90s. I don't know if you remember the Mayday Festival that they did in 92, 93.
That up until mid to late 90s. Last one I went to was at YMCA Skate Park when it was over like off Arrow in that area. Or no, wait, it was at Claremont. That's where it was. Yeah, when
Mission
they had
Valley Skate Park?
Yeah, when they had that skate park over there. That's where it was, like Mission Valley, right?
Are you talking about the Mayday Festival?
Yeah, they had it at like some event hall, but it was right next to the skate park.
The first one they did was at the Starlight Bowl. And then they had like two different stages. One was outside, one was inside. The free stage, like the Rugburns played. I believe Jewel played out there before she blew up. And then the second one they did like at a baseball field. It was down by a federal building. That's all I remember.
Last one I saw, I think, was 1995, and that's when Blink had the Blinkmobile, and it was them, Jughead's Revenge, Sack Lunch, which was the pro surfer Rob Machado's band.
The Big Afro, I remember them.
Oh yeah, back in those days, yeah. That was a rad era for music here in San Diego.
I agree. I agree. Um, that those shows were just packed full of all the music I listened to. I mean, different genres and everything. Three Mile Pilot was at the first one. I don't think they played the second one. You could see the Neighbors over here, and then Gregory Page over here. You know, just it was amazing. But I got into local music like that. Then started playing in bands, playing bass. I sang for a few different bands. And then we started a hip hop group that went nowhere, but those people in that group kind of introduced me to another bunch of people that were looking for a singer. Because Chris Brunner, Miklo, remember him?
Yeah, yeah.
He wanted somebody that was similar to Salmon, a couple other bands, just more of like a flow type sing sound. So they brought me in, and I was with Cavenna for 7 years. Played all over the place. Played a lot of shows out here, up and down the coast, up to Monterey, Vegas. But we did that for a while, and then I kind of dropped off music for a while. Had a son. After he was born, got back into it, just doing my own thing. And that's kind of what I've been doing now. So when I jumped back in, I didn't know where to start. I didn't have a lot of connections because I fell off the scene for maybe like 5 years. So I reached out to a few people. I got on a local music showcase put on by a guy that promoted shows, but was also an artist manager kind of thing. So I did that, and then he's like, "Yo, I'd like to manage you." I'm like, "I got nothing else going on, so that's a start." So I did that. Did a lot of shows at Brick, um, and at the same time, Van had come down from LA and met up with
What
the same guy.
what year was this?
I don't know what year he came down.
I just
But
met Van maybe like 3, 4 years ago.
yeah,
So I didn't
about
really
that.
know him for that long.
Yeah, yeah. So about that, maybe about 4 years, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Same kind of local music showcase, and he performed. So I didn't know anything about him. And when you're at a show and you try to support the other artists, you kind of go up to the stage and you know what I'm saying, instead of being a wallflower. So I naturally just kind of was up there in the front, and dude blew my mind. I'm like, holy shit, this guy is talking shit to the audience, not in a bad way, but like everybody was just kind of like, you know, stacked off in the back. And he's like, yo, what's going on? This is a fucking hip hop show. What are you doing? So immediately jumped in. I believe Big Mike and Zach were there, and he's jumping on tables and just acting crazy, and I hadn't seen that out here. Not hip hop. I mean, you'd see it with some of the rock bands like Fish Life back in the day. The dude would get naked, but
Yeah.
so I immediately was like, oh, okay. And he jumped on with the same management. So both of us were managed by the same guy. Um, we did that for a little while. We did a couple tours. But eventually kind of got to the point where it's like things weren't working out the way they should have been working out. I don't want to name names or talk any negativity, but this guy was trying to be an artist manager slash promoter slash this slash that. Like he wanted to play a bunch of different hats. Almost like a conflict of interest. That was the first thing we're like, and then we kind of got to the point where we're like, we could probably do exactly the same thing, if not better, on our own.
DIY, baby. That's the only way.
Yeah. So after the second tour, we came back and kind of me, Van, another guy, kind of collectively thought, you know what, let's just break off from this guy and start our own thing. So that's kind of how that started. And then Cult Muzic was kind of formed at that point. Van back east started something called DRC, and that went on for quite some time. It was actually fairly big. So when we started Cult, that DRC following and all those people connected to it kind of became like a Voltron, you know.
Right.
So that's kind of how that started. So yeah.
Where was Van from originally?
Massachusetts.
That's right. Yeah, I met him through Kim Miller. Kim Miller was managing a valet parking business that I used to own.
Right.
And, I'd cycle through people all the time because it was only part-time work. And there was more events based than anything. And I remember I gave her liberty to bring on people all the time. And one of them was Van. And she had told me a little bit about him. Then I started, connecting with him, and we got all connected on social media, and I started following what he was doing. I thought it was really inventive. I was like, Black Hesher. I was like, that's a pretty catchy name. I like that. And then we started talking to one another, and I really dug his vibe.
Right.
And his merch game was fucking on point. I was like, dude, you got your own action figure now, skateboards, like you're all over the place. I love it. And then Tim Piles is an old friend of mine. I mean, we both started out in the industry 20 some years ago together. He was an intern at 91X. I was driving a golf cart in front of Kane's Bar and Grill as a security guard when I was 20, back in 2000.
Wait, you just said Kane's?
Oh yeah. That was how this all started for me. And then 2 years later, I was running booking for Brick by Brick. So I was there from 2002 to 2010. And then I owned and operated a recording studio called Iacon Sound in Golden Hill from 2012 to 2019. We got gentrified and, kind of muscled out. It was just all business. I get it. I had no ill will towards the guy that bought the building, but partnered up with another studio, and Van, up until his unfortunate passing earlier this year, we're talking about collaborating. I mean, he always be like, dude, I wrote this punk rock song. He'd tag me and he'd be like, but I wanted Sulo from Authentic Sellout to do it. And I'm like, that's rad. And we talked about doing a track together, and me jumping on one of his, him jumping on one of ours. And, for someone to come and do a guest vocal, that's something that's not really ever been done. 15 years I've been doing this band. So I was like, fuck, let's do it. Shit. We've had a rapper come on stage and do a whole verse with us before in one of our songs years ago. So I was like open to the idea. But I was even on his podcast show he started hosting at Queen Bee's a couple weeks before. Torch for him. You guys started together and continuing on with that legacy of Cult Muzic. And it was rad to see him win that music award, posthumously, and you guys, as a whole entourage and team just go up there. It was beautiful what you guys set out. I had a table pretty close to the stage, and I was watching it, and I remember, kind of chit-chatting with you a little bit before that category came up and everything. And, we've always more been acquaintances, don't really know each other. So it's a pleasure to, sit down and have you on the show and just kind of tell your side of the story. And
I'm happy that I'm here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm honored, actually.
Doing this whole music game for a long time. So, when you're talking about, the guy kind of bit off more than he could chew, trying to be a jack of all trades, artist, manager, booker, any real professional knows that they're all different divisions. Like each person has their role on a professional scale or level, I should say. There's a talent agency that handles the booking, and you're dealing with your booking agent. And then there's the personal manager. Then there's your label guys and, your studio producers and whatnot. And the list just goes on and on and on.
Right.
And tour managers. A lot of times the tour manager also acts as the front of house engineer for you when you're on tour. But
To make sure everything sounds right.
that's right, yeah, and handles business at the same time. I've tour managed before. That's been interesting, and I've kind of done a little bit of everything, and it's interesting how 15 years later I'm still doing the same band. I was only meant to play one show.
That's good though. I mean, it is to have a band that can stay together that long without slapping each other around too much.
Well, I've been through a million band members, but I'm still doing it.
You know what I'm saying? It's good to see you guys still doing it.
Definitely. With you as like are you more of a solo artist, or are you like a collab with a whole team that does songs together? Because I noticed with your music, you have a lot of like guest MCs, on your tracks.
Lately, this album that I'm putting out in December has quite a bit of people on it, but I would be considered a solo artist. But the people I would collab with, for the most part, are all going to be in-house. You know what I mean?
Say in-house. Let's talk a little bit about how Cult Muzic was formed. Like what birthed that?
I kind of went into it a little bit. When we broke away from the manager guy, we started our own thing, more like a collective. Nobody's really signed to anything. There's no, like when you join a label, there's all these rules and regulations. You can't play a show if you got a show here and this kind of thing. It's just more of a community of artists that respect each other, and are very talented. I have to say that because everybody that's a part of this is amazing in their own ways, and we all kind of help each other go as far as we possibly can. But that's kind of how that was formed. When we broke away, we did that, and then he brought the DRC following and fans and all of his friends and everything. We just kind of mashed into one big ball of Cult Muzic. And then, keep losing your audio. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Right on. And that's cool that you're still continuing it, like even after fans passing and whatnot. And let's talk a little bit about just your relationship with Van on a personal level, and working together. Because I kind of associate, Black Hesher and Cult Muzic with you and Van, purely for the most part.
Yeah. I don't even know where to start. He was my best friend. I mean, very close. I spent a lot of time with them on and off. There'd be times when we wouldn't really hang out a lot because we'd have our own things going on. But yeah, but I'm having trouble talking. It's still fresh, even after 6 months. I haven't done any interviews where anybody's talked about any of it, so I'm struggling for words. But yeah, we were close.
I don't want to hit too sensitive area. If there's something you don't want to say or talk about, feel free. Like I know it's hard, man. I just lost a friend of like 20 years to cancer last week, and words can't describe what's going on in my head right now when I'm processing. So the one thing about Van was I only met him once. That's what a lot of people don't realize. I met him when I went to go do that podcast, the Queen Bees one. And I don't know whatever happened to that episode or that podcast show. I wish I could find someone that can send me the track for it, because I just want to go back and listen to it, because that's my one and only true memory of, getting to meet the guy, hugging him, and going on
Right.
his show. And he was always talking about how he looked up to what I did with Authentic Sellout and our music videos. And I'd always like, we'd always go back and forth just about like, how creative he was and how, we need to do some kind of collaboration together because we're both doing like our own thing. But like, I would always like thrive on what he's doing. I was like, oh, dude, like that's so unique. That's so outside of the box. I like that. And we vibe that way. He was doing that whole kind of like Kids in the Hall type show. What was it called again?
This is the show.
That's right. This is the show. And he was always like, I want to feature you in a skit. And I tried to set something up at like the gym I train at, the boxing club, but they're kind of like real protective about, what they want, filmed in there or whatever.
Sure.
Because they're more of a combat fight. But yeah, I miss him too, man. And I'm glad that, reflecting back, that was kind of like my way to say hi and bye at the same time. Little did I know. And it was a shock to all of us when he suddenly passed. And I just got to give you, like, and the rest of your crew, a lot of respect for how you paid tribute to him. Let's talk a little bit about the tribute show that you threw for him. And the idea with that video, I don't know if it ever transpired.
It's still in the works. It's still being worked on. It will happen. I gotta talk to Sando and ask him when, but it's come up a couple times. Devin, the Astro, one of his other really, really close friends, probably one of his best friends out there, did a show a couple weeks ago, and he did Fireflies live. And Sando was there to film it. He's like, "Oh, I'm so glad I got this recorded." So they're still working on the video.
Who's primarily featured on that song? Is it more Van or is it you or
On Fireflies?
Yeah, because you guys have live musicians that play with you too when you perform, right?
We have
Yeah.
for the most part. Most of the shows are strictly hip hop, backtrack kind of thing. Van brought a violin player in a couple times. We brought her in for the Queen Bee show.
Yeah.
We did the Fireflies. We did Fireflies at the memorial show with Bathwater Babies. They were basically the band with Katie, Devin. We had like 10, 12 people on stage.
I saw the video that Kim sent me of that. It was pretty cool, man.
Yeah, that was very emotional performance.
Yeah, I saw that.
Keep losing your audio. You there?
Still hear you.
Ah!
There you go. Technology. What are you gonna do?
Hey, fuckers.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we normally don't have live musicians. I played guitar for him on the songs that suited it, the acoustic songs like Runaway, Fireflies, Let Them Eat Cake. There's a couple other ones that I might have played. But
Who's on lead vocals for that song? Is
What's
that
that?
him? Is he singing lead on that song, Van?
We're both singing. On the verse, it's him, and then in the chorus, I'm singing along with them in the harmony. You can tell the difference if you listen to the verse. You'd be like,
Yeah, because I know there's two different male voices on that track, so I wasn't sure who was what.
Yeah.
Van had a very distinctive voice when he's doing Black Hesher stuff, but that track really like stood out to me too. You know what I mean? It was a very unique track.
Yes. He sent me that one. He's like, yeah, I like it. I'm like, let me play guitar on it for you. Let me sing. He's like, oh yeah, go for it. So we did that, and then that's kind of how that happened.
Like a ballad hip hop song, in a sense.
Yeah, he had a few of them actually.
What are you currently up to right now? What's in the works for you in cult music?
For me, well, I have an album to be released next month, um, called "Wide Asleep, Falling Awake," or "Wide Falling Awake, Wide Asleep." Um, they're still. Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
Oh,
Oh, bitch.
you hear me?
I can hear you now. I hate technology and
I
technology.
feel like we're like the old Verizon commercial. Can you hear me?
Hello, hello. But yeah, I have an album coming out next month. Katie LaDubs has an album coming out soon.
Yeah, I've been checking out her stuff too.
Yeah, Katie's amazing. The other thing that we're working on is San Diablo All Stars. We started that with Van, myself, and Michael Fairchild. And then, of course, what happened. And it took a minute to figure out what we were going to do. Didn't want to just not do it anymore because I know that it was something that, he would have wanted us to continue to do. So we were talking about having Katie jump on a few tracks with us prior. And then, so after the fact, Mike and I were like, well, what about Katie? What if we did San Diablo with Katie? And it took a couple minutes but ultimately at the end of the day, I know Van would have been fully supportive of it,
I think he would. He's a very down to earth, humble dude.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed about him is very soulful and kind, and there's like some young girl. It wasn't his daughter, but he's very close to her. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Yeah.
Princess Ballerina.
Tell me a little bit about her. Little association between Van and her. Well,
All right, I took the headphones out because they're being a pain in the ass. I missed everything you said.
oh, okay. No worries. So when I went to go do that podcast interview with him, there was a little girl there. He's like, oh, this is almost like a daughter to me. It's not my daughter. And yeah, just tell me a little bit about their relationship, like who that was exactly.
That's her mom's name's Sarah. He was living there. And obviously we're close. Van was kind of like a big kid. And kids loved him. So that's kind of how that happened. He lived there and spent a lot of time with her.
They would be together with her mom.
Dude, I cannot hear you. I've dropped your audio again. I don't have any headphones.
Weird. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, good. It's all good, dude. Yeah, he kind of briefly mentioned, the association between the two of them. I didn't honestly really have too much time to talk to him before the interview or after, because I had to kind of, wait around for a guest before me and then wait for him to come get me. And then we kind of wrapped out for a few minutes before the interview. And then after, I had to kind of jet out. I had something else going on. But, it was real cute to see that the whole interaction between the two. He had a lot of love for that girl. I saw that, the way he looked at her, the way he talked about her, the way she loved him back. She was wearing like a butterfly outfit, or fairy or whatever it was.
Right.
Now kids like to run around in princess outfits and costumes these days. It was cute to see that. And then one thing on the interview, like I noticed I'm pretty intuitive when it comes to trying to read people and understand people. And, I just took a look at his eyes and there's a lot of hurt and pain that I saw in his eyes. You know what I mean? And as a musician, that's when we're vocalists, especially, that's what we do. We transpire that into our music. That's our outlet. And you know, I wish I could have got to know a little more about Van and understand him, you know, because he always like showed me so much respect. I'm like, you know, the dude doesn't even really know me, but like when we talked, it was like we were friends, you know. It was just that kind of synergy that we had. And sometimes I wonder like what could have, you know, come out of that, you know, friendship that we were working on forming, and, you know, potential music collaboration. You know, so once again, it's really cool to see that you're continuing on his legacy, and, you know, just how you came and accepted the word on not just your behalf, you know, but for cult music as a whole collective. You know what I mean? That was really cool to see that.
Yeah. We had to mash the stage together. You know, I tried to prepare a speech for that. I did, but I got about 2 words in. I'm like, I don't really need to write it down. You know?
Come naturally, organically from the heart. I get it.
Yeah, I knew what I needed to say. It didn't need to be written. You know, it's just like, it just came out. You know. You are dropping your audio, mister, and I cannot hear you.
I'm not even touching anything.
I'm like, it ain't my headphones this time.
Well, you know, hopefully everything comes out, you know, fine.
Right.
And then for everybody out there, you know, I'll be posting links to all of his, you know, social media, you know, different profiles and any websites or whatever you want posted on there, so people can follow you online and, you know, start digging into the Cult Muzic collection of all your artists, especially Black Hesher, Van Bates, you know. Do you guys have music videos on YouTube people can watch?
Yeah. Black Hesher has them. I've got some. Diastro just released one today called John Candy, which is amazing. So that's something that people should check out. Ty Hunt has videos. Katie has videos. We're still working on getting some more visuals out there.
You guys have a Cult Muzic YouTube channel?
No, actually, surprisingly not. We each have our own kind of separate accounts. But cultmuzic.com, CULTMUZIC, goes right to the main page of pretty much all the music.
Okay, so that's like the hub website. Gotcha.
For the music, yeah. I mean, everybody's everybody's on like Spotify and iTunes and, you know, all the streaming services. But as you know, when you stream something, you get paid maybe like a fraction of a cent per stream. And instead of supporting those, you can go to the Bandcamp, the cultmuzic.com, and you can listen for free, or you can support the artist directly without, you know, giving them the fraction of a penny per stream kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Cool. Is there, you know, any exciting videos coming up, or anything, any shows or anything you'd like to promote?
Yes. This Friday down in OB, on Newport. I don't know the address. It's a couple different names for the venue, but we're calling it the Wrestle House. Myself, Katie LaDubs, Bloodstone the Street Preacher, Sloat Dixon, Mr. Crimes. I believe there was more added to it. I'm not familiar with that at the moment, but we're doing that. It starts at 6 this Friday. And then next Sunday, Katie and I are doing a show at a skate park, but it's the Washington Street skate park down there under the bridge.
That's still going on? Washington Street skate park? That's rad.
Yeah.
Oh man, I remember when they were putting that together. I used to do benefits for Black Label skateboards back in the day at Brick by Brick. Back when ASR used to be in downtown San Diego, back in those days. Wow. Yeah, I'll never forget the riot that ensued that night when someone flicked a cigarette butt at one of our bouncers and started a whole Royal Rumble.
Wow.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I watched a guy probably half the size of this other dude pick him up over his head and just slam him on the ground. I never seen anything like it. It was like watching wrestling in real life. It was pretty crazy. All the side fights that spinned off. But anyways, that was probably 15 years ago.
Dang. But as far as videos go, I've dropped the ball on videos lately. I'm not gonna lie. So I have a list of songs that I want to make videos for. So we're gonna jump on that. We got a couple people that are gonna help us out with that. I know Scott back east. If I ever make it back there, I'm gonna try to have him do something. And then we have Zach, who's about 4 hours north of us. Zach Meister. He also does videos. We're talking about that not too long ago.
I got a pretty rad team if you ever need some added support.
All right, fair enough. But yeah, just kind of moving along, making as much music as we possibly can. You know,
Definitely, man.
I keep dropping your audio.
Can't hear me?
No, I can't.
All right. What do you have like an external device like plugged into it? Nothing.
Nope, just the phone. Maybe I'm getting old and I'm losing my hearing.
Oh, you're probably are you streaming this through your phone?
Yeah, I'm on my phone right now.
Oh, that's probably why. That's why I always do it I'm doing it through a laptop right now. So it's probably signal interference, you know.
All right. Well, I suck. I'm sorry.
It's all good. No, it is what it is, dude. I know. Signal interference is a bitch. What are you gonna do?
Right. But yeah, a bunch of different artists with Cult Muzic. I could name them all off if you'd like.
Why don't you go down the whole list and
there's a lot, and I might miss a couple, but obviously Black Hesher, Kayla Dubs, myself, Diastro, Big Mike, Bathwater Babies, Ty Hunt, Comfortably Scum. I don't know if I said Zach Meister or not. Hans Einstein, Jay Speak, Donnie G, Sally, Blush, Jeff Freeman from the Yucks is putting out his debut album here pretty soon called Bastard the Enemy. Huh?
Oh, it's been a minute since I've heard the Yucks. That name mentioned.
Yeah. Well, he's putting out his own hip hop album. I mean, it's different genres or whatnot, but we've been working on that lately, which is cool. I'm brain farting and I may have missed one or two, and I'm gonna regret it later if I did.
Good. Well, if people want to really find out like who's all a part of Cult Muzic, they can go on the website and check it out.
Cultmusic.com. San Diablo All Stars as well.
Now, if somebody wanted to buy Black Hesher's merchandise, is that still for sale? Is that?
Yes. So after everything, we took Katie actually kind of handles that, but all the proceeds there, any profit goes to the family. But that's a separate website. I can get you that link after we're done, so you can put it up.
Yeah, please do. I would love to help promote that.
Yeah.
When you say it goes to the family, I know his mother had passed like maybe a year before he did.
Yeah, and his father passed a year or two before that.
Right. Yeah. So when did he have siblings or?
Yeah. I've been talking to Hassie, his sister, the oldest. So she came out for the memorial actually, which was really cool.
The proceeds go to her? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Kind of the next of kin type thing.
That the money's going to the family.
Yeah. So he's got his own merch site. Cult Muzic started a new merch site, which you may have seen. Just all kinds of different fun stuff in there. And we recently started printing stuff in-house, just to try to beat that profit margin a little bit more, you know?
Pandemic, everything spiked. I just had to order new merch the first time, maybe like 3 or 4 months ago. The merch guy's like, sorry, dude, here's your invoice. I'm like, what the fuck? He's like, cost of goods is inflated.
Yeah.
So, yeah, everything's upside down.
Yeah. But it's a lot cheaper to do it yourself than have that third party putting their hands in the cookie jar as well, you know?
Yeah, if you got the dough to invest, then do it by all means. And it's more fun making your own stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So how do you guys record? Do you guys self-record yourselves?
Yes. I have a setup in here. I have a decent mic going into a tube preamp into an interface and then running into Mixcraft, which is just a DAW. So I get a really good vocal sound here. I know Diastro has his own recording setup, but that's for the vocals. When I record guitar or whatever, I kind of run it direct right into the interface and then use VSDs, you know, to get the right sound kind of thing. I don't have like an amp and everything mic'd up to it like you would in a traditional band recording.
Okay. And do you guys do your own mixing and mastering, or is that outsourced?
Yeah. No, I do mine. I did the last 3 Black Hesher albums, Saints and Sirens, actually probably more than that, Saints and Sirens, Portals, and Rituals, but then he had a remix album in there as well. So I mixed and mastered that stuff. With the San Diablo, Mike Fairchild handled that, and it turned out amazing. But yeah, no, we kind of handle everything ourselves. And you know, as we grow, we'll start reaching out to the next branch kind of thing. You know what I mean?
When you say grow, like, do you have a certain goal in mind, or you just want to see how far you can take it?
There is no goal, just to keep growing as far as we can.
You have genre limitations on the artists that you want to pick up or work with, or does it really matter? Yeah, because you guys are a very eclectic group, I noticed, and I like that. Reminds me of the old SRH days with Suburban Noise and what Zinger is doing.
We all have different tastes,
Yeah, exactly.
I listen to a bunch of different stuff. I can listen to Carcass, Diligent Escape Plan, Toad What's Rocket, Tupac. It just, there's no like real line defining what I listen to. And that goes for a lot of different people, within.
That's why I think, Van kind of gravitated towards what we were doing, because we're not thrash, we're not pop punk, we're not old school punk. We're kind of a hybrid rock and roll band. Like, we have all these nuances from different aspects of rock, even hip hop. You can hear a little bit in some of our songs, whether it's the music or what I'm doing with my vocals. I know my limitations as a singer and a vocalist. I'm not fucking Freddie Mercury or Axl Rose. You know what I mean?
Fuck that. You could be.
Yeah, but I always try to go as far as I can go with what I'm doing, and I don't hold anything back. And as a vocalist, like, that electrifying feeling of singing is just like the most. I can't even put into words how it makes me feel. I feel like I'm coming out of my body when I'm performing. And
that's way to put it.
Yeah, that's like the most gratifying feeling is when you're entertaining a crowd, in my perspective of things when it comes to being a musician, or that proud feeling when you finish a song or an entire album or a music video. You know what I mean? It's just, I love entertaining people. And that's why I've been like that jack of all trades and doing so many things. I mean, this is just another creative outlet with what we're doing here. me hosting a podcast show. But at the same time, like I found my purpose to do this through my buddy George, who had a heart transplant. He was actually just on my last episode that I debuted. I think I sent you that one with him and his buddy Donald Logue. He gave me the purpose to do it. He had a heart transplant this year, ironically on my birthday, and very spiritual and in the numerology and signs and all that. And I took that as a sign to reach out to him. I was like, this is the first year I didn't do shit for my birthday. I didn't have a birthday dinner, nothing, a real mellow, low-key weekend. And I was more worried about like how his surgery was going to go, you know what I mean? And I waited for him to recover and monitored his progress and reached out to him. And when I heard his story, I was just so blown away. I was like, dude, like, no offense, but you got to share this with everybody. I know that, not everybody's comfortable talking about like, their lives and their struggles and whatnot, but you can help empower other people. And
right.
That gave me the whole purpose. You coming on here, for example, for the first time talking about Van and your relationship post, his passing, it's a big honor for you to be able to do that. And like I said earlier, I don't want to hit like too sensitive of a subject matter for you. I just want to be able to respect, that whole boundary and just respect his legacy at the same time, because he really was an amazing artist and an amazing human being. You know what I mean? And I'm just glad I did, get to meet him. I just wish I got to, see him perform. I never once got to see him perform. Our relationship was purely just through social media for the most part and on the phone, and that one time I did that acted as a guest on his show. And I remember how excited he was about starting up that, or taking over the podcast duties for that. And, dude, I miss him, and I already loved the dude. He just had a beautiful soul about him, you know what I mean? And as all artists do, we don't really know what's going on inside someone's mind. And we try to decipher that through like what they write. Me, I write about like a lot of my thoughts. I have journals and journals and journals like scattered all over. And I always carry one around with me in my car. I'm in my office right now. I got one, in my briefcase, that I used to haul around my laptop every day. But that's just the beauty part about being a vocalist and a musician. It's healing for us to write down our thoughts. And
dude, singing has like it's got moving parts to it, but there's two major things about singing that do it for me. I mean, obviously it's that feeling when it comes out, especially when you're hitting the right notes. If you're hitting the wrong notes, that's a shitty feeling. But
we're always going to be our own worst critic in that aspect, though.
Of course, but when you don't sound good, you're like, it might not sound bad to somebody else that doesn't know it, but it's not what you're going for. So when you hit those right notes, regardless if you're performing, singing in your car or whatever, when anybody sings, it feels good, but we get the extra added bonus of performing in front of people and watching people just kind of, because when I do my thing, I'm quiet, I'm not a big talker. I don't walk around. I'm not a social butterfly. I stay kind of in the background until it's time to perform. And then once that happens, you've seen Over the Top, the 80s movie with Sylvester Stallone and
wrestling movie. Arm wrestling.
Yeah. The best way I can put it is like when he turns his cap sideways and he's ready to arm wrestle. That's kind of how I feel before I hit the stage. I'm like, all right, I want to do this shit.
Get it because he wanted to take care of his kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But so being able to perform and sing for other people and just kind of put that emotion that you're having and that you're pushing out, and so they can feel it. That's priceless. To have somebody feel the things that you're feeling via your voice.
Power somebody, entertain somebody like that, to get a compliment after you're done, it's the most gratifying feeling ever.
Yeah.
Nothing touches. I feel like I was born to entertain, man. You just know when you know that feeling when you find your calling in life. You know, I don't know if everyone shares that sentiment that's a musician or an artist of some kind, but you know, are you having more audio issues or are you good?
Yeah, you're dropping in and out, but I realize it's not the headphones, so I'm gonna put it back in so I can hear a little bit better when I can hear you.
I lost you. I don't have any video anymore. Well, we're having some technical difficulties. Maybe I'll tell a joke. Jay Andrew will be right back.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Right. There he is. Zach. Lost your audio feed now. Hear nothing but static, bro. Okay.
All right, how about now?
The hissing's over. Yeah. Every time you, whatever you just did, it keeps feeding back.
All right. Fuck the headphones. Are you there?
Apparently the headphones don't like your cell phone. All good. We're coming to the end of this interview anyways. We're coming up on an hour. And this is a part of the show where I like our guests to leave a catchphrase they live their life by, or leave our guests and our viewers and listeners with some kind of empowering message.
That's heavy. And I got nothing. I'm gonna say be yourself. Don't be afraid to be yourself. A lot of people walk around and live their lives kind of shrouded. I know I have and still do. I fake smiles quite often, but take the mask off. That would be what I have to say.
I like it. And you can interpret that however you like, people. And on that note, it's a pleasure to have you on the show, my friend, and get to know you a little more intimately in this sense, and pay our tribute to our dear friend Van Bates, aka Black Hesher. If you'd like to support his music and his legacy, all the proceeds, like he was saying, goes towards his family, and they're available on your website, right? Cult Muzic.
Yeah, he's got his own merch site. I'll send you the link after we're done.
We'll have all the links available where you can check out Jay's music and Cult Muzic, Black Hesher, everything we basically discussed. And that wraps up another episode of The King's Couch. I'm your host, Sulo King. I always like to say, stay radical. And thank you for being on the show today, my friend.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful to be here.
Awesome. Catch you later.
See ya.